At 70, I received the news that made the walls of my doctor's office feel like they were closing in around me. Cancer? I called my son that same evening, expecting him to say, "Dad, I'm coming." Instead, through his trembling voice, I heard words I never expected from my own child. And what happened between that phone call and the next 2 years changed our family forever. My name is Arthur, and I was 70 years old when the doctor quietly placed his hands on the desk and told me that my test results were serious. For a few seconds, I heard nothing. Not the ticking clock, not the traffic outside, not even my own breathing. I simply stared at the doctor's face, trying to understand how one sentence could make a lifetime suddenly feel so small. That evening, I drove home alone. My house had never felt so empty. I had spent my entire life believing that when things became difficult, family would be the one place I could turn. So I called my son, Daniel. When he answered, I tried to sound strong. "Son, I got my results today." There was silence. Then his voice broke. "Dad, I'm sorry." I closed my eyes. For one tiny moment, I thought he was going to tell me he was coming over. But instead, he whispered, "Dad, Elise and I just got engaged. We're trying to plan everything right now. I don't know how we're going to handle all this." I didn't blame him. At least, that's what I told myself. I said, "Don't worry about me. Go enjoy your life." Then I hung up. That night, I sat alone at my kitchen table with an untouched cup of coffee in front of me. I looked at the empty chair where my wife used to sit before she passed away. And for the first time in my life, I was afraid not of the illness, but of becoming forgotten. The following months were difficult. There were hospital visits, exhausting treatments, long nights, and mornings when getting out of bed felt like climbing a mountain. I didn't tell Daniel everything. Whenever he called, I smiled through the phone. "I'm doing fine, son." But I wasn't. There were nights when I cried quietly because I didn't want anyone to hear me. Still, I kept going. One appointment became another. One difficult day became another morning. And slowly, impossibly, life began giving me pieces of itself back. 2 years later, my doctor looked at my latest results and smiled. "You're doing remarkably well." I couldn't speak. I simply lowered my head and whispered, "Thank you." I thought that was the end of my story. I was wrong. Last week, my phone rang. It was Daniel. The moment I answered, I heard him crying, "Dad." His voice was almost impossible to understand. I sat down. "What happened?" He was silent for several seconds. Then he said, "Dad, I finally understand what you went through." I didn't say anything. He continued, "I thought I was protecting my future. I was so busy planning my wedding, my career, my life, that I forgot the man who spent 70 years making sure I had a life to begin with." My eyes filled with tears. Then he said the sentence I had secretly waited 2 years to hear. "Dad, I'm sorry I wasn't there when you needed me." I looked around my quiet house, and for the first time, it didn't feel empty. I told him, "Son, I didn't need you to fix everything. I only needed you to sit beside me and remind me I wasn't alone." There was silence on the other end. Then Daniel said, "Can I come home?" I smiled through my tears. "Your room is still here." And that night, for the first time in 2 years, I left the porch light on, not because I was waiting for someone to save me, but because I finally understood something. Sometimes the people we love don't realize our worth until life forces them to feel our absence. And sometimes forgiveness isn't about forgetting the pain. It's about deciding that the pain won't get the final word. If someone you love is still here, don't wait for a tragedy to remind you how precious they are. Call them, sit with them, ask them how they're really doing. Because one day, you may wish you had one more ordinary evening with them, and ordinary evenings are often the most valuable moments we ever receive.